Yo guys, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to go over the Diablo 3 Season 28 patch notes and kind of give some of my thoughts about the changes they're making since the PTR a few weeks ago. So one thing to cover before we dive in is for completing the season journey, you're going to go ahead and get this new portrait as well as this pet, which I think is pretty cool. I don't really care all that much about the portrait. I think that we just have way too many in the game to the point where I don't even really notice them. But I guess for some people that's cool. But I really do like the pet. I think that the pet is pretty awesome. And of course, the Hadrig's gift sets, we have the Monk with the Patterns of Justice, Demon Hunter with Gears of the Dreadland, Barbarian with Horde of the 90 Savages, the Typhon Wizard for the Hydra build, the Aegis of Valor Fist of the Heavens Crusader, the Mundanugu's Witch Doctor, which surprisingly actually got a little bit of a buff, and we'll get to that later. And then lastly, the Masquerade of the Burning Carnival for the Bone Spear Necromancer. For any of you who are not aware yet or haven't been keeping up with the Season 28 updates, in Act 1 you can run right over here. It's kind of tucked away in the back corner, and this is going to be the Altar of Rites, where you can fill out basically this skill tree that you can unlock all options for, and they effectively just give you these passive buffs. Here's a picture of that skill tree right here. How it works is that you get certain materials that you offer to it, and once you get those, you have this permanent buff on all of your characters so that you don't have to do it again for each new class that you create. I'll go ahead and leave a link down below in the description to this article so that you can check it out yourself if you're not all that familiar with everything going on in Season 28. So some of the changes that we're going to be seeing to the Altar of Rites, the first thing is the L tier is going from a 10% passive damage increase up to a 20%. Next up on the P tier is we have Progress Orbs from Nephilim Rifts and Greater Rifts are automatically picked up within 60 yards. The only text that seems to be added here is the 60 yards element. When I was playing on the PTR, it kind of felt like you did actually have to be in the general vicinity of the Progress Orbs. They didn't just drop and then automatically teleport to your character regardless of where you were. I'm not actually sure if this is a change or if this is just a rephrasing so that people understand that you actually do have to be within a certain vicinity of the progress orbs to actually get them. Next up on the R tier, we're going from a 15% flat damage increase up to a 30% damage increase. I think that we all saw this one coming, the potion nerf. So effectively on the PTR, you could drink a potion regardless of where your health was at. So you would go into a Greater Rift and immediately hit the potion, and then you would gain a random shrine or pylon effect. The conduit pylon fishing was way too powerful. It was allowing 0 DPS characters to actually clear GR150s. So I absolutely think that this is a justified change. So now you're going to get a random shrine or dimensional power pylon effect. One thing to note is that this is not the same as getting a power pylon. This is only going to last for 16 seconds when you roll this. As opposed to the shrines, this season, you're absolutely going to want your follower to be wearing the gloves of worship so that your shrine effects last for 10 minutes. For most Greater Rifts that you're running, that should cover you for the entire time, which is really nice, especially if you get like a good shrine effect right off the bat, something like Empowered. Ultimately, this is still a really powerful effect. This is still really nice to have, kind of adds a little bit of strategy about how we're going to be using our potions, whether we're going to be saving them to heal when we're in danger, or if we're just going to be popping them off to go for like basically maximum potential on our character. So next up, and I think this is a pretty nice change, we no longer have to get the never-ending questions, so we don't actually have to go in and do set dungeons this season to complete the Altar of Rites. The never-ending questions was a huge pain for a lot of people. It seemed like potentially bugged. For a lot of people, we got it really quick. I only had to run about 7 set dungeons, and then other people were running hundreds and still not getting a single one to drop, so I think that this is absolutely a good change. Now we're going to need 4 Tome of Set Dungeon pages from your class. This is going to be really easy to get. Just save full sets for your class in your stash. Once you get all of them, just run on over to Leoric's Manor, go to the little podium over there and get the scroll. Put that into your stash, put on another set, go back and do it again. I would encourage you to look up which sets actually have set dungeons. There are certain sets in the game, mostly newer ones, that don't actually have a set dungeon. So if you end up going there with a set like the Aegis of Valor, nothing is actually going to drop. And so you might want to look up the 4 sets that you're going to need to collect. And of course, right here we have the wings that we're going to get from unlocking the entire Altar of Rites. they're pretty cool, really like them, glad that these are coming to the game. I feel like a lot of players spent a lot of time in Season 27 farming those holiday gifts so that they could get the Cosmic Wings, and so I'm not really sure that a lot of people are going to use this if they had actually farmed the Cosmic Wings during Season 27, but they are a nice thing to have in your collection. Another new feature to Season 28 is the Primordial Ashes. Now, when you salvage a Primal Ancient item, you're actually going to get these Primordial Ashes materials instead of Forgotten Souls. For every Primal Ancient that you salvage, you're going to get 55 of these materials. You can use 100 of them and put any legendary into the cube with recipe 11 to actually turn it into a Primal Ancient. This is kind of similar to the Angelic Crucibles in Season 27, although they don't give us any additional power and they just turn the item into a Primal Ancient. You can actually only wear one of them. But regardless of that, this is absolutely going to be the season of Primal Ancients and gearing out your character to greater heights than you ever have before. In the Altar of Rites, towards the end, you're going to get an ability that says every time a Primal Ancient drops, another one is going to drop next to it. For the bug fixes, I think we only really need to go over one of them that is incredibly important. Effectively in the PTR, if you were playing in a group, you had such a massive advantage over people who were playing solo because of Seal V, which each time you defeat an elite, an additional progress orb drops. Now, when each player in the group had that as a passive, they were getting 4 additional progress orbs to drop, and so they were absolutely just mowing through greater rifts. Playing in a group is already substantially more efficient than playing solo in this game, and so this is a really good fix. At least it levels the playing field a little bit better. Moving on to Natalya's, set has been reworked, and so this is no longer going to be a strafe build where we're kind of just holding right click and moving through everything and absolutely mowing down these GR120s at incredible rates. Instead, it looks like they're kind of trying to make this into a pushing build instead. So hitting an enemy is no longer going to automatically summon a spike trap under them. Instead, spike trap is just going to deal 100% increased damage to enemies affected by caltrops. Instead of each detonation giving you 1 discipline, they're going to go ahead and give you 2 now. This kind of makes sense because of course it's going to be a lot slower than it was before. We're not going to be laying hundreds of spike traps incredibly quickly with our strafe ability, and so it makes sense that they would buff up the numbers here. So we used to gain a 60% damage reduction for each time we were laying a spike trap. The duration of that 60% damage reduction was equal to the number of traps that we had out. That is now going up to a 75% damage reduction. Again, this makes sense because we're not going to be able to lay traps as quickly. And the final change that we have here on the 6-piece set bonus, we are going from the 10% increased damage per detonation up to 25% more. So we're going to be able to test this out on Tuesday when the patch comes out. In all honesty, just looking at it on paper, it looks like a buff because, of course, all of the numbers are getting increased. However, the way that we're going to have to play this is definitely different, and I'm a little bit worried that this might actually be a pretty substantial nerf, but we'll kind of have to see when everything comes out. I could be completely wrong. I know that I'll be testing this out on Tuesday, and so if you test it out yourself, let me know down below in the comments how it works out for you. So because Natalya's is no longer a strafing set, they went ahead and buffed Gears of the Dreadlands. I think this is definitely overdue. Gears of the Dreadland was incredible when it first came out, and it just kind of has been nerfed into the ground to just being an okay spin to win class. They are almost doubling the damage on it on the 6-piece set bonus, which is really nice. I also believe that this is a really welcome change because almost all of the Hadrig's gift sets that we are getting for each class have been buffed up this season, and so the one that was kind of left behind was Gears of the Dreadland and Aegis of Valor, and a little bit of the Mundanugu set as well, but they did fix that in these patch notes as well, and we'll get to that down below. Another really important change is that the Shadow Mantle 2-piece set bonus is no longer going to give a 6,000% damage increase to Spike Trap. This was absolutely crazy in the PTR. People were just blowing through 150s like they were speed runs. The Demon Hunter is definitely going to have a good season. I'm a little bit surprised by this. It feels like the Crusader especially is completely left behind while they're out here. Reworking Natalya is giving a buff to Gears of the Dreadland, a huge buff to Unhallowed Essence. It feels a little strange where Blizzard's priorities are at, but I am a Demon Hunter player, so I guess I'm all for it. But I do feel bad for anybody who's interested in playing a Crusader. And finally, at the very bottom, we get a little bit of love for the Witch Doctor. This is so nice to see. The Manitou rune, hope I'm pronouncing that right, probably not, is going from a 6,000% damage over 20 seconds up to 14,000% damage. Well guys, these are all the changes for Season 28 that are coming out. Really hope that you have a good season. Go ahead and drop a comment down below. Let me know what class you're going to be starting with. I will be launching a Gears of the Dreadland guide later this week. I've played that build a lot, and so I'm actually really excited to make my first guide for it. If you're interested in playing a Demon Hunter, make sure you tune in for that. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.